Recently, a group of players have been going around stealing and confiscating armor trims from other players, all with the goal of ridding the server entirely of trims. Now, are they good at what they do? Not exactly. Are they all that dangerous? Not exactly. But regardless, to ensure they can't complete their goal, I'm going to be obtaining every single armor trim in 24 hours and distribute as many as I can, all to make sure that players can freely wear armor trims for years to come. Or at least, until the server resets. Anywho, right off the bat, we can knock 2 out of the 16 armor trims off the list, since I already happen to have the Sentry and Silence trims in my possession. But getting the other 14 trims would normally require days of traveling and exploring, and in a world that's been around for months, almost every structure is now looted, making it incredibly difficult to obtain trims normally. Luckily, there's still a way I can complete this task quick enough. See, this server just so happens to have custom crafting recipes for each and every armor trim, meaning that instead of exploring old structures for a chance at getting a trim, I can instead just gather materials to craft them a lot easier. Which is a huge relief because I thought I'd have to put in effort for a minute there. However, I got word that the owner of the server was planning on removing these recipes soon, so knowing I had a limited amount of time before that happened, I got straight to crafting. So starting out, I was able to get the razor, shaper, and eye trim all just from using materials that I already had at my base, bringing us all the way up to 5 out of 16 in just the first hour, as well as getting the easier crafts out of the way. Unfortunately from here, I need to travel a bit further out for the next trim, Wayfinder, which to craft requires cartography tables which require paper. Sadly, some egghead decided that sugarcane shouldn't exist, and as a result, there is only one spot to find sugarcane, which is my teammate's base. However, this base was compromised long ago, meaning that at any moment, it could be crawling with enemies. But it wasn't. I mean, I don't know why it would be. It's my teammate's base, After getting the sugarcane I needed, I had myself the 6th armor trim. Look at us go! Up next, the Tide armor trim requires for me to get prismarine blocks, but despite all my time spent looking, I was empty-handed. And there's the world border. Great. But it wasn't long until I managed to spot one that was actually pretty close to the base. Slight issue, I forgot about the minor inconvenience that came with going into an ocean monument. Yeah, there's no way I'm mining that before I die, bro. Getting mining fatigue from the Elder Guardian meant that I couldn't mine the prismarine blocks from the temple quick enough, and while I'd normally use cows, they've practically gone extinct, so I needed the next best thing. A superpower! That's because on the Brawl SMP, there's 10 different sets of elemental abilities, one of which allows a player to clear all of their negative status effects. Unfortunately, I don't really have that ability, meaning I need to find someone who did. And that's where this guy comes in. Meet Surdy, my closest teammate, the owner of the base I'm borrowing, and also an expert status effect clearer. So the plan was to take Surdy to the ocean monument where he could use his ability to get rid of the mining fatigue and gather the prismarine I'd need. Of course, there's still risk of dying, but at this rate, it's the only option we have. My hero.
Hello.
Thank you.
But that's. Oh. Oh. Oh, I want it in. Yay.
Alright, Surdy, so for the 9th armor trim, I need your magical helio powers.
Okay.
So it should be. Alright, what was that?
I don't know. I don't know who that was. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, this is it.
Yeah. Right,
Who did that? Seriously, bro.
I'm gonna drop you. How many blocks do we got?
A stack.
Alright, that should be good.
My Helio powers save the day.
Yay! So with the help of a teammate, I now had the prismarine needed to make the Tide trim, but I still needed one of each fish and a nautilus shell, and while fishing isn't necessarily difficult, oh my gosh is it time consuming. It took me way too long just to finally get this stuff, but eventually it wasn't long until I had the Tide trim finally in my possession. Not only that, but when Surdy initially arrived to help me, he also gave me the materials needed to make both the coast and wild trim, meaning that with his help we were able to get 3 more trims, putting us at 9 out of 16 and officially over the halfway mark. From here, I noticed that I missed a lot of cheap recipes, so I went ahead and got the materials needed to make them. I started by getting the emeralds needed to make the Vex trim, and after a bit of nether roof harvesting, I was able to get the host trim using fermented spider eyes. And after using up a bit of my gold reserve, I got myself the snout trim as well. The 13th trim, however, would require both bone blocks and wither skulls, which could both be obtained in the nether. Luckily, after some flying around, I was able to get the 2 skulls I needed for the fortress. But I wouldn't learn about my biggest concern until after the retrieval, when I was told by an ally of mine mind that as it turned out, while I was flying the nether, I was being watched the entire time. Now I know what you're wondering. Who on earth has the time or patience to watch someone fly around the nether for 20 minutes? Apparently my opposition, because as it turns out, they somehow figured out what I was up to. So now I need to try and finish this before one of them manages to get the jump on me. But before we move on, let's go ahead and get ourselves the 10th trim. And while exploring the nether isn't too difficult, the end is a bit of a different story. Because with the looming void and dangerous shulkers, it's not the best place to be. If only there was a way that could be 100% safe? Only a couple people will get that one. Anyways, all I need for this trim is some end rods and some silly purple blocks. Luckily, there's an end city right here. Oh my stars, that is lucky. It actually is right there. But it has no end rods? That's very annoying. But I'm sure there's another city nearby. Okay guys, be honest. Who deleted all the end cities? Oh my god, finally! And while I'm here, I may as well go ahead and get some more shulkers for some storage. I believe it's like this, and... No? What did I do wrong? Okay, I was stressing for a bit. I just crafted... Okay, never mind. I just crafted it wrong. Thank God. Oh my goodness. There we go. Spire armor trim. So 2 more, and then we'll have every single armor trim in the game. Luckily, the second to last isn't too difficult to get, only needing 2 types of sand, which I actually happen to have. So if I'm smart, all we have to do is smelt it, and... Alright, so I did it wrong. We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen. And just like that, we have trim number 15, which did not take an hour of searching, you know, in case anyone was wondering. Now, as for the 16th and final trim, I actually can't craft it, because the only trim I'm missing is ward. Only problem is that the crafting recipe for it is 8 ward music discs. Now, maybe it's just me, but I'm not really in the mood to go insane, meaning I'll have to find a player who actually has the trim on them. But despite asking almost everyone I could, nobody seemed to have the disc on them. That was actually until I asked Uncertain if he happened to have one on him, which surprisingly he did. So after giving him some extra trims I had in return, we finally had every single armor trim. All that's left to do now is to duplicate as many as I can and then give them out to the entire server. But since I only have a couple diamond blocks, duplicating them is going to get pretty expensive, meaning I need to find a quick way to get as many diamonds as possible. But nobody I know is dumb enough to just hand me a stack of diamond blocks, right?
What?
Hey Debbie, can I have diamonds?
How are you here?
Nope. You cannot have them.
Oh
Done.
yeah. Well, isn't that plot convenient? So with the diamonds that I worked for, I began to duplicate at least 3 of each armor trim. And with all these duplicates, I can give a bunch of them out to the whole server, as well as keep 1 of each for myself. So after finding some people at spawn, I built the greatest shop the world's ever seen and called everyone over to get trims. And just like I'm calling people to get trims, I'm calling you to subscribe! Because I've been stuck on 5,000 for so long. Please, let's get to 6,000. Anywho.
I hate the weather.
Anyways.
Hello?
Alright, sorry. What are you missing?
All of them.
Oh my days.
It looks like a ninja turtle.
You can have this one, and this one,
Yeah, it does.
and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one.
It's getting rich.
Having succeeded in my goal, I finally told the enemy team what I'd been doing the entire time, but interestingly enough, they didn't actually really care much. Why? Well, while I was doing this whole thing, they ended up giving up on their goal since they just kept getting beat up. What a bunch of rapscallions.